Good afternoon, members, and welcome to this meeting of the Dumfries Common Good Fund Subcommittee. Can all members please follow the good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones and switching off your video when you're not addressing the meeting, writing speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute. If you're in the Council Hall, you can do this on your iPad or iPhone. Please don't repeat contributions already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function if it's intended as part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. And if any member has to leave the meeting, please write leave in the Teams chat function and then write join when you rejoin so that we can keep track on whether the meeting is quorate. All members should speak clearly and directly into the microphone when making contributions, and when referring to reports, please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions on areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. So we move to sediment and apologies. Can we have this? Have that, please, Dan?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We have apologies for councillors Lowe and Walters. And in Council Hall, we have yourself, Chair, Councillor Hislop and Councillor Malcolm Johnson, and on Teams we have Councillors Bell, Blake, Campbell, Dorwood, Ferguson, Stevenson and Stitt, and also in Council Hall we have our community representative Mrs Hastings.
Thanks, Dan, and I confirm my agreement to the participation of members who are participating remotely. So, declaration of interest. Do any members have any declaration of interest or statement of connection? Nothing coming up. Thank you, members. So, minute of the previous meeting. This is for noting. Members happy? Okay, move on. So, agenda item 4, the Dumfries Common Good Fund Financial Report. Now, this report presents the current financial position of the Dumfries Common Good Fund, including projected income, expenditure and balances for 26-27. It highlights anticipated rental income of approximately $20,000 alongside ongoing monitoring of cash reserves and asset performance. The report provides assurance on the fund's financial sustainability, supports continued sound management of common good assets, and confirms the level of available free income to support future community projects. So Darren's here as usual to answer any questions. Do you have anything to add to the report, Darren?
Nothing to add, Chair.
Thank you. So I'll move to any member questions. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. It's on page 14. It's actually the rental income, which comes to 20,000. 5,300 of that is from the fair. I notice it's in the next year's financial plan. So, are we assured that we're going to receive that income, and then in subsequent years, are we going to continue to get that income?
Thanks, Councillor Johnston. So we're projecting that for for next year because, in the sense of that's a working assumption. In years ahead, one would expect that may not be the case with any developments at the White Sands. But I suppose for next financial year, I'm thinking that's the likely scenario. But I suppose if it's not, we will make revisions to the plan.
Thanks, Darren. I know that the Council are working with the Showman's Guild to accommodate, to make sure that within that project, this White Sands project, that it is accommodated with maybe further up, further down, but they are working for that. And I think for the next year, the parts of the White Sand project that's been started is not going to be at the area where they will be initially, at the moment, and then there'll be future plans of where they're going to be within that project. You want to come back in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to ask if there was, the potential loss of that income was highlighted to the common good previously when the discussions about this project were being made.
I'm not sure whether there was the potential was highlighted, but there is the real potential if the works are carried out and the fair no longer set up at the White Sands, that would be an inevitable loss to the common good in a sense of an income source.
I think it's always been of the intention that the fair is still going to be there. So there's all, you know, as I said, all work's been done to keep that going, discussions going, and just helping with plans of where that would be. But there's always a potential of loss of any income if, you know, if people no longer rent, people no longer hire, or like the fair doesn't come. So you want to come back in?
Yeah, it's just in this particular case. I understand it. I mean, I've been in business most of my life, and I know income's never guaranteed. But sometimes when you take decisions yourself, then that's a whole different thing.
Thank you. Councillor Dorward.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for that's a really important question to ask. I think from my perspective, you, Chair, responded to that with work is ongoing. So I think it's too soon to make any assumptions or presumptions about that. What would be useful, Chair, perhaps be to this committee, given that Councillor Johnston's asked a very pertinent question, would be an update on where that work is. That would probably be better than just making assumptions or presumptions at the moment. Thank you.
So would a members' briefing from the White Sands team be the kind of thing you're looking for, Councillor Dorward?
Correct.
Perfect. Well, Councillor Malcolm Johnston has given us a thumbs up for that as well, so thanks. Councillor Hislop.
Chair, it's a couple of the other income ones as well. The Robert Burns Centre, now that's staying the same. Is that the whole building? And am I right? Is it the Burns Centre's where the Burns Film Theatre is? Because my understanding the restaurant is empty just now. And does that affect our income? Or does the council pay us and then sublet our property to someone else? And have we allowed them to sublet it? And the other one that I noticed was on burial notices. Now, where does that money come from? Is that a charge we put on the notices that are in the window in the mid-steeple? And my understanding, there is a proposal within the budget savings, whether it comes about or not, to close the ticket office. So therefore, will that be another £350 we might lose?
Yeah, Chair, thanks. Councillor has very good questions there. We've always projected in the sense of that sum for Robert Burns, and there has been occasions that the restaurant area has been, vacant. I think it's still occupied. I think they are to close, is my understanding. Or if they have closed, it has happened, very recently. So, projections are as presented. In terms of the burial notice, yeah, a smaller amount of money, and is based on, the assumption that the mid-steeple is open and is able to perform that. And you're right, that's a charge that we apply to put the notices up. So if things change, we will make changes, but until that time, I'm projecting as presented today.
You want to come back in?
Just a wee bit further information. 1 in 5 mid-steeple, which units are they? And does the chip shop, which I think the council does rent to, or had rented out, is it part of the common good, and do we get funds from it, or is it one of the two that's mentioned?
The chip shop's not common good. It's a small unit at the front and the unit opposite. One there and one on the other side, which I think was current a tablet shop maybe or something. Yep. So that's the mid-steeple. The Timpsons and the other bit are not common good to the best of my knowledge.
Thanks for that, Councillor Hislop. Thanks, Darren. Councillor Campbell.
Thanks very much. I was looking at the same sort of, the rents that's coming in on the appendix, and in particular, I'm looking at the Guild Guides, for example. Now, the Guild Guides have now moved out of the Lorburn Hall, and as far as I was aware, they've only actually just paid 1 year's rental when they were in there. Now that they've moved to the municipal chambers, is that an actual rent that we're getting, or is our the peppercorn rent that they were given years ago still in existence?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Campbell. The £1,000 is the figure it's been charged to the Guild Guides now for the offices occupied at municipal chambers.
Thanks. And just on another point, I mean, are we actually getting all the rents from everything that's common good to the Dumfries Common Good Fund? For example, we have the plane stains, and we have a market there. I mean, do we get anything back from them, for example, or anybody that uses the plane stains? I'm not sure. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks again, Councillor Campbell. I suppose the short answer is we don't get rent income for all the properties that the Common Good has, and in some ways I suppose that's a fairly historical, and dare I use the term, custom and practice, because I can look at examples that the municipal chambers is common good and the Guild Guide arrangements is new. Clearly the council has operated from municipal chambers for many, many years, but we don't have an income, but we don't have any expenditure. So the council occupy and maintain the municipal chambers, as is the mid-steeple offices. And there are probably other examples of that, but I suppose that the current, I suppose the real situation is if we begin to look at that, there may be a pressure on the common good versus in the sense of picking up some of these maintenance costs, because to be frank, there has been, I guess, millions of pounds spent on common good assets over the last number of years through primarily external funding. If we look at the renovations of the mid-steeple itself, we look at Dock Park, and we look at Mill Green in the sense of the wall collapse. The Common Good didn't pay for that. Popeyes Park in Lincluden, which is Common Good. The new play equipment was funded by the lottery through a community representative. So there's lots of money's been spent, and sometimes there's no rental being sought, but on those fixed building assets, there's occasions that we're not getting, we're not being left with the maintenance costs. So I don't know if there's another question to that, Councillor Campbell, in the sense of what you would want to see or propose to members.
No, I'm just kind of reflecting back to what we had in the seminar. I mean, obviously there's a nominal cost for the council because the council own Common Good. They can't charge themselves rent, let's put it that way. I think that came out in the seminar, but but no, the main point was the likes of the plane stains. If somebody was using that for any sort of display or anything like that, what was there some kind of rental that could have been attributed to the Common Good Fund? But no, thanks for your explanation.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Slater.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Sorry, I've come into this meeting a little bit later because of technical problems, I believe. But I believe Tracy, is it Tracy sorted them out for me now? I'm on the meeting. This may have been discussed, but it is regarding the fair and the accounts and the income from the fair. Is this 5,300 for the whole year for all their visits to the sands, like the two main fairs, or is that per visit to the sands, first of all?
No, this is the total income for
Okay.
the year stated, Councillor Slater.
Okay. If the fair loses its common ground stances, will that income be lost? And if so, will the council reimburse the common good fund with that amount? And lastly, there's a lot of talk about common good. Could we possibly have a really up-to-date list of what is common good, what is we're getting rent from, just the whole thing really, because there's a lot of grey areas here, I must admit, that really need sorted out. And it would be good to have, as near as possible, all the properties that the council have in common good, and also ones that's paying rent and the ones that's not paying rent. And that would help a lot during the meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Slater. Yeah, we can definitely get that brought to, Darren, I've just spoke to Darren there, definitely get that brought to future common good. The next one, Darren?
Not been set, the date.
Right, okay. So we haven't got a date for the next one as yet, so can definitely get that list and also the list of who's, well, we have the list here of what's being in the Dumfries area, what has, where the income's coming from and what's being charged. As with the fair, Councillor Johnson already asked that question about whether that income would be lost. And as yet, we don't know. The council are working along with the Showman's Guild just to make sure that it can be accommodated within this White Sands project. But we have agreed, because Councillor Dorward had raised, that we will receive, and I'll add that to the recommendations, for a members' briefing from the White Sands team regarding progress and to do with the situation with the fair. So we'll get that to a meeting. Well, we'll get a briefing to members anyway about that.
And also the fact is that if it is lost, I say, will the council refund or put the money back into the common good fund?
I can't answer that, but I wouldn't expect so, Councillor Slater.
Well, it's not the fair fault here if they lose their stances. So really, I think there should be some compensation paid, I think, because the common good is losing that money. It's not their fault. It's not the fair's fault either. But because they may lose that stance, that money, I believe, should be paid into that account from the council, because it's not their fault. It's not the common good fault either, but it's somebody has to probably reimburse that, surely. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Slater. But as Darren alluded to just a couple of minutes ago, we have millions of pounds that has been by the council put into common good properties, common good land, that has not been, the common good have not had to incur those costs. So we have on the reverse side, if that was the case, so everything that was lost to the common good, if the common good had to pay for everything that the council actually paid for on behalf of the common good, I think you would find the balance tipped completely in the other way. But thank you for your comments. Councillor Hislop.
Thank you.
Was with regard to Councillor Campbell's points, would it be worthwhile maybe getting a wee briefing from either Mr. Grunwell, Mike from Rhodes, because my understanding is the plain stains aren't used for the market. It has to be an event of a artistic nature or historical nature when you've got likes of Gede Neighbours on there. But there are areas of the high street that are used for the market which are specified. Now, they are then having to be taken under the Roads Act to have a occupancy permit. So that might be there, and that's why we might not get any funds for it, because the roads have to authorise occupation of the high street I think it's every 4 weeks to send out or they're meant to send out a licence to the market operator, or he's up to apply for it, and then that's how the thing works. It's like if I own a road, I have no right to charge anybody to use it because the roads authority has the right to use the road.
So what is it you want a briefing on?
It was
Ivor?
just to clarify if we should be getting money out from that, or whether it's actually the council, because under the Roads Act, we're not entitled to charge for occupation.
I think the situation is here, and I will be corrected if I'm wrong. I don't think the Plainstains is common good. The mid steeple is, but I don't believe the Plainstains are.
It was just Councillor Campbell mentioned the plain stains, so I just took it that was, because he said he'd seen the list, and took it that was the fact.
Yeah, no. But you're right about the roads permits, etc. But I don't think the Plainstains is. I mean, I can look into that and let members know, but it's my understanding that it is not. But it is being used, you're right, for sort of heritage events, cultural events, something like that. It can't just be, we can't just all stand up there and hold an event for no reason. Which is why quite often when people want to hold demonstrations, the insistence is they're not on the Plainstains. But right, but thank you. Councillor Ferguson.
Good afternoon, Provost. Just getting back to David's question about the council I suppose, standing good for any loss of revenue. That would be a budget implication, and that would have to be every single year. It would have to go forward as part of the an administration budget or an alternative budget. So I don't think it's something that we can just walk into. It would actually take a fair bit of work for the Section 85 officers team and the legal people to see in actual fact whether it's doable and enforceable, and then how we would actually put it into practice. So whilst his intentions are well intentioned, but I don't actually think it's a feasible possibility.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Okay, any other questions, comments? No. Well, I'll move to the recommendations. Members are asked to note financial Oh, sorry. Do you want in? Sorry.
Sorry. It was just to say that when Darren said about all the money that's been spent on repairing things, do you not think a better maintenance programme would mean that there wouldn't have to be as much money spent as many times? Because there doesn't seem to be very much maintenance being done a month or yearly, so that it doesn't involve millions and hundreds of thousands of pounds being spent on the fountain. Had all that money spent in it, it had never been looked at for 20 years. The Dock Park had all that money spent on it. They then had to refurbish the bandstand, which cost umpteen amount of money. There's lots of common good things that just didn't get the attention that they need. Robert the Burns statue has just been fixed. I don't know whether anybody's had a look at it or not, but he's now got red hair and green down his back. And if you want to see, I've got photographs on my phone.
Thank you very much for your comments. They're well made and well noted.
Thank you.
So we'll move to recommendations. Members are asked to note the financial outturn of 25-26 as detailed in Appendix 1. Agree the financial plan for 26-27 as detailed in Appendix 1, and agree to continue the small grant scheme, including the revised grant criteria. Now, we didn't go over the grant criteria. Are members happy with the change to that? Because I think it was the match funding situation, Darren, that you have raised. Because we haven't had many applications to our small grant scheme for quite a while. So no other Nestdale grant schemes have to have match funding, but we do with this one. And just in case that's a deterrent, there was a suggestion that we remove that. Are members agreeing with that? It's just that we didn't discuss it, so I just wanted to make sure that members were happy with that. Councillor Campbell.
Thanks, Chair. No, it was about the small grant scheme, I mean, is it well advertised? You're just saying there that there's not many people apply, but I mean, I'm just wondering, is it properly advertised so that, you know, groups can bid in?
I'll let Darren in here.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Councillor Campbell, they advertise in the same way that our other Industrial Area Committee grant schemes are advertised across our social channels and award officers emailing their various contacts, and that seems to have worked for all of our area committee grants because they seem to be fully expended in most cases. But that's been a sort of turnaround since we haven't had a compulsion of having a 50% match funding. So the change here is to bring it in line with some of the area committee grants and then hope that the marketing is done picks up the same way that the area committees has. So I think anecdotally we're thinking we're hearing it's the current requirement of match funding where it's not an essential requirement for some other funds.
No, thanks, Darren. That's where I kind of thought we were. Thanks.
So are members happy to remove that 50% match funding condition to the grants in the hope that it will encourage people to come forward? Councillor Hislop.
Chair, happy with that, but does 1 and 2 under Common Good Fund priorities put people off? Because it's very tight to celebrate the civic and historical traditions of Dumfries Borough or to enhance the assets belonging to the borough. It's quite narrow, that, and is that what might put people off? They might not realise that although those are the priorities, there might be other things that we would sponsor.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Hislop. It's certainly written, you know, in the way it is because to link to traditions, because that's something that members have, you know, been clear about in previous years. But I think the application of that is very wide in the sense of, you know, pretty much anything that's going on is about celebrating Dumfries and its people. So as long as it's very much about that, you know, we would deem that, you know, an eligible application. But happy if there was different wording that members wanted to consider to be less obtuse about it. We can look at that.
It was something maybe to look for next year. If nothing changes this year, it might be something we need to consider, and it gives us time to think about it.
No, I quite agree. You could probably work a lot of things into that, but it may deter some people thinking it was really very, very closed. So we'll see if it works this year with the dropping of the 50% match funding, and maybe it's something to come forward with suggestions with a seminar next year. Councillor Ferguson.
Right, okay, I'm not sure if I'm just being a daft boy here, but eligibility criteria for this coming year, has this been written as though we are agreeing this today? This isn't what the current funding criteria is, am I right? So, because it's got in there about match funding, it's already in there. 2.3 in the appendix 2. So is this the new rules? This is the proposed criteria. That's the ones we discussed at the seminar. Am I right? Yeah.
Councillor Hislop, yep. It mentions match funding in 2.3. Previously, it was you required 50% match fund. Oh, beg your pardon. I thought it was you coming back again. Councillor Ferguson, apologies. 2.3 previously said match funding was required. 2.3 this time is saying no match funding is required. So that's only change really it's happened to is in 2.3. Apologies again.
Thanks, Councillor Ferguson. But I mean, if members
Thanks very much, yeah.
if members wanted to change that wording of 1 and 2 now, we could, because this is the time to do it. But I'd be mindful of trying the matched funding, take that away first and see if that's all that's needed. And then we can, when we're here this time next year, looking at the criteria, we can maybe look at that. But hopefully we won't need to. Hopefully we'll have it. It'll all be gone by then. Not all the money, just all the grant funding. So thank you. So we've agreed to continue the small grant scheme, including the revised grant criteria set out in paragraphs 410 to 414 as in Appendix 2, and adding an extra members to receive a briefing from the White Sands team regarding the fair. What kind of wording? Councillor Durwood, do you have any wording that you would like added to that?
No, I'm fine for it. I mean, I think it's it's fairly straightforward, Chair. I'm fine for it to be like, just an update, a briefing update. I mean, whatever local authorities speak you want to put around that, I'm not bothered about that, as long as we get a briefing. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you. We'll work on that sort of wording to make sure that members get that briefing to find out the situation, sort of progress update in the situation with the White Sands team and the fair. Thank you. So we'll move to agenda item 5, Dumfries Common Good Fishing, the review of 2025 fishing season and proposals for 2026 season. This report reviews the operation of the 2025 Dumfries Common Good fishing season, covering management arrangements, compliance with regulations and overall performance of the fishery. It highlights any operational issues, learning points and outcomes from the season, providing assurance that the fishery continues to be managed in a controlled and responsible manner. The report also sets out proposals for the 2026 fishing season, with any proposed changes to rules, permits or management arrangements for committee consideration and approval to allow forward planning and public communication ahead of the new season. So Darren, do you have anything to add to this report?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The only thing to add is I haven't got written confirmation yet of the assessment fees, so basically the rates from the Fishery Board for the waters, but I'm led to believe it's similar to last year, so that's round about just under the 3,800, which really equates to a 90% discount from or by the board. Thank you.
I think we were assured at the seminar that this would continue on the back of the consultation work that's been done that actually pays for the difference. Am I correct, Darren? Yeah. Councillor Hislop.
Chair, my understanding, we won't get an official update until, I think it's after April, because there's been a revaluation, and until they're through, they don't know what the charges are on the poundage. But the idea is that with, as you've said, the consultancy work that comes in via the Director of Fishing, it should be similar to last year with a substantial rebate. But at this time, it hasn't actually been set until those figures come through.
This is why we have our man on the inside, Ivor. You. So do members have any questions, any other things to discuss? So are we going with option A or option B? Are we staying as is, or are we moving to the new system of a more succinct? Councillor Hislop back in.
Chair, I think during the seminar we had sort of discussions over this, and there was anecdotal evidence that fishermen, or most people, prefer a simplified pricing structure. So I think option B is a simplified permit structure, and I think we should try that. If it attracts more visitors, it's beneficial to us and it'll bring in more money. We don't have that many visitors, so I don't think it's a big risk of losing out. So anybody extra coming's good news for the fishery.
Thank you, Councillor Hislop. Councillor Stitt.
Thanks, Chair. Quite happy to second Councillor Hislop's motion going for option B.
Thank you, Councillor Stick. Councillor Campbell.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, just looking at option B, yeah, it certainly is simplified. But I'm just wondering, I mean, does that cover the same sort of scale as the previous structure that we had? Say, for instance, for grayling only, or Sunday trout or grayling. So, in other words, if you get a daily permit of £38, is that basically saying that you can fish for anything?
You can never fish for salmon on a Sunday anyway, but I'll bring Darren in on that.
No, thanks, Chair. You're absolutely right. So, you know, we introduced grayling and Sunday-only tickets a number of years ago. We're not selling, you know, those tickets. There was none last year, and the proposal, you know, is very much that straightforward. It's a daily permit, so, you know, the £38 would be to fish per day. And as we discussed at the seminar, the pricing structures, you know, is based on for adult, junior and easy access cost is a quarter of the season permit to encourage the sale of season tickets.
Thanks very much, Darren. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'm happy to support option 2.
Councillor Johnston.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And just in a similar vein to when we were discussing the small grants, we'll get a chance to look at this again next year, and we can monitor the impact of moving to the simpler structure. So I support moving to that as well.
Thank you. It's about trying to move and change to find something that makes a difference and makes us better. So we can look back at it, and I hope we'll be looking back at it with some success. Councillor Hislop.
Just thinking back to the seminar, there was mention of advertisement of the fishings to see if we could get additional visitors. Is that within this report, or do we need to agree that, or is that just a management operational part which we don't need to get involved in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Councillor Hislop. It's an operational decision. We did discuss in the sense of the options for marketing. There's a budget there, you know, in the sense for income and expenditure, and I'll you know, manage that budget based on the budget available.
Thanks, Darren, and thanks, Councillor Hislop. We also discussed the digitising of the applications, which again is operational. We just have to make the charges here is our decision, but I think in every way is a move forward. Better promotion, advertising, a better system makes it easier for people to apply, especially if you're out of the region. Being able to do that online and then making this more sort of smoother pricing here. I think it's all positive. So everyone in agreement, no one otherwise minded? Okay, I'll move to the recommendations. So members were asked to note that £7,967 of income was generated from fishing permit sales for the 2025 season as detailed in paragraph 4.1, and the breakdown of permit sales was in Appendix 1. Consider the catch return data for 2025 season as detailed at paragraph 4.8 in Appendix 2. Note that the conservation status of 2026 season will be Category 3, which requires mandatory catch and release of salmon as detailed in paragraph 4.4. Agree the Dumfries Common Good Fishing Regulations 2026 set out in paragraph 4.12 in Appendix 3. Agree and adopt the Dumfries Common Good Fishing Conservation Policy 2026 set out in paragraph 4.12 in Appendix 4. And agree option B to introduce a simplified permit structure by merging the Dumfries and Galloway and visitor permits as in paragraph 4.23 to 4.26. So I've got no other items of urgent business, so thank you members for your contributions today. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you.